Always need something new.
Okay, let's draw to attention the Hood River White Salmon Bridge Authority bi-weekly meeting, April 14th, 2025. Let's do a call to order and a roll call. Mike Fox, co-chair, is here. Arthur Babbitts is online. Grant Polson is in attendance. Catherine Thomas is in attendance. On the Washington side, we have Jacob Anderson in attendance. Eric Wilson in attendance. Do we have anybody else?
Mike, just for the record, 3 o'clock, I have another board meeting I'll be going to, so I'm sure
Okay.
Catherine can take care of things from then.
We'll do that. I don't see anybody else signed on as of yet. So let's go ahead and proceed. Is there any modifications, additions to the agenda? If not, can I have a motion to approve as is?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion's passed. Going to the approval or correction of minutes from March the 24th, regular board meeting. Does anybody have any adjustments that is desired? Judy?
No, I don't.
Okay. Anybody else on the committee? Could I have a motion to approve then?
Move we approve the meeting notes as noted.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 None? Okay, so the meetings are approved. Public comment, 3 minutes per person, 30 minutes maximum. Is anybody from the public? No one in the room? Anybody online? If you would, raise your electronic hand if you would like to address. Seeing none, we will continue. What we're going to do today, we're going to try and do an abbreviated meeting because we do need to go into executive session for a few minutes. So if we could, let's try and keep the executive reports short and succinct. We'll start off with the co-chairs. Do you have anything to say?
I won't say anything so we can move through it.
Okay, nor do I. Project director report.
Come on.
Would you mute?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Go ahead, Mike.
project director's report.
Sorry, if nobody has any questions on the packet summary, I'll answer any questions. Otherwise, we can move past it.
Why don't you give us the real high points?
So we're continuing to build discussions around the biological opinion and biological assessment. We're working on coordinating a prep meeting with HRWSBA on that. We're working through some of the key phase 1 activities, bathymetric survey, right-of-way, 6F mitigation, and some railroad surveying and wetlands survey. We're working through negotiations with Kiewit. We've had our second round. Individual disciplines have been meeting this week to try to work through some scope clarifications and details. So we'll continue to work through that. We've got a second round of discussions to be held on April 23rd. We're also working through with them some contract terms that we'll need in order to finalize that. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Legal report.
I don't have anything right now, Commissioner, to report. Nothing new.
Okay. Thank you. And government relations, I don't see.
You have Brad on and Maddie on.
Yeah, Brad, why don't we go to you first?
Sure. Thanks, everybody. So we are entering kind of the home stretch up here in Washington State. We have 2 more weeks. Session is scheduled to end April 27th. We, as folks, probably know, we do have the additional $50 million to make the entire 125 in the Senate version. That additional 50 is linked to a corresponding revenue package that is, not just about us, but about filling the holes in a variety of different projects up here. We haven't been cut, but we did not get the additional 50 in the House version. Again, they have their own transportation revenue package and their own way of doing it. Right now, there is cross-chamber negotiations that are going on between the two sides. And it's very complicated because on the Senate side also they pull some funding from the general fund into transportation. In the end, I don't expect that to actually, happen, that piece, but there is a corresponding belief that some sort of transportation package is going to pass. The question becomes, can we be sort of the last project standing in terms of any additive funding within that those transportation package discussions. We have been getting, we continue to get really good support from both Senator King and Senator Harris down in that area. They have both been signaled willingness to support transportation revenues, conditioned on some of these additive functions. But again, it's still very much up in the air, and those conversations are very, very behind closed doors. And at least no one that I've been able to connect with has given any clear indication as to where those things are at. So I'm hopeful that in the next few days we start hearing and seeing clear signals of kind of negotiations progressing forward. We do expect to hear about a general fund tax package being put forward tomorrow. And that will, hopefully create an impetus to really focus in on what's left in transportation. So again, I know I'm not super clear as far as what I expect the pathway to look like, but at the very least, we are in play in this final stretch going into the end of session. And we're going to be closely monitoring all of the developments and trying to engage as much as possible with key legislators. So I'll stop there and answer any questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Brad, so the extra 50, the additional 50 is in the package if there's revenue. The 30 is in the package whether there's no revenue or not, correct?
The 30? You
'Cause
mean the
we
original
were-
75?
Part of the original 75 is 30 this next biennium. That's in both the House and the Senate, whether there's no income, right?
Yes, there's no change to the original phasing. Yes.
Yes. So at least we've got 30, the question. And on the Senate, the 50 was actually put in this biennium, correct?
I don't have it right in front of me. I'm gonna have to go and look as to the exact phasing on that.
I thought they put it out farther, but
Yeah, I did too, but let me go and get an answer to you on that, Jacob.
Right. And so that was one of my thoughts is if it's going to be a transportation package that there's multiple years and there's dedicated funding, we could, and if we're the last person standing, one of the negotiations could be, well, don't put us in 25, 27, put us in 27, 29, if that's what gets us in.
Yeah, I hope to actually be in that kind of a conversation at some point, Jacob, but there is nothing other than literally the chairs of the committees who are in some room somewhere negotiating this, and I don't have details beyond that yet.
So you said they're going to come out with the general fund tomorrow. For the transportation side funding, how are you feeling the odds are that that's going to pass?
I think there's a high likelihood that something's going to happen on a transportation revenue package. It's actually interesting because for the first time in my career, usually transportation packages are very big deals with a lot of visibility, a lot of headlines, a lot of coalitions, all of these things. This is the first time where there's general acknowledgement that something has to happen on transportation, and it's kind of bubbling along, but the general fund stuff is taking up so much more oxygen in the room that no one's really paying attention to it. Overall, I think that's a positive thing just because it does seem to be continue to move along without sort of the usual and customary kind of visibility and resistance. But again, there's just so many variables right now that I'm hesitant to try and predict anything. But there
So
is,
the message really is stay tuned.
yeah, that's exactly it. And I wish I had a clearer picture, but I don't yet, and nobody seems to.
Okay, thank you. Hey, before we go over to Maddie on the Oregon side, I'd like to recognize Seth has joined us. Jake Edwards has joined us, and so has Marla. So Maddie, go ahead, give us the update. Good news from Oregon.
Always good news from Oregon, and it's 75 degrees this afternoon. Hi, folks. Maddie Doe from Thorn Run Partners. Happy to give an update about where things are in the Capitol. I think just to start us off, first and foremost, we had a very successful public hearing on our bill, House Bill 2184, the bridge funding bill. In Salem 2 weeks ago, we had 8 to 10 folks in person. They're testifying in support, and with over 40 diverse different letters of support from the community on the record. I think we've heard multiple times during the hearing, after the hearing, and kind of in the days following that the robust support and the diverse support for the bridge has been incredible and definitely not normal. And so unusual company is always nice to see on the bridge. And then one other thing to flag, since we've last talked, Oregon has released the general framework for the Oregon Transportation Project or the Oregon Transportation Package. I believe that was circulated around folks, but please let us know if it hasn't. We're happy to send that back out. It is the start of a conversation. And so it would raise 1.9 billion per biennium. It does not name projects, and it just kind of starts the conversation by naming off some of the revenue mechanisms. And so those conversations are kicking off. We're hearing that they'll probably be in the committee in about 2 to 3 weeks. I think they're still working through the Joint Transportation Committee. They're still working through some remaining policy discussions on separate bills and trying to move some other things out. But we're expecting that to pick up in the JCT pretty soon. And then one other thing to flag, last Wednesday, we did have the first chamber work session deadline. Many of the bills that we're tracking on behalf of the authority are in the Joint Transportation Committee and so are still alive. But there is one bill that did not advance, which is a bill that we were working on with you all, and it was the liability bill, House Bill 3683. And so just wanted to flag that for the group. Happy to pause if there are any other questions, or I'll turn it over to Jim.
Could you remind her what that one was about, Maddie?
This would have been the one that adds the new bridge to the Oregon Torts Claim Act. I think just having some,
yeah.
and I think after some discussions with you all about timing, decided with you all that it could probably wait for this session, and we can revisit it in a future conversation. But great that we have the language ready to go and can turn back to it.
Thank you, Maddie. Hey, let's move to the federal look-see with Jim. Good news, Jim?
I wish. Still in a holding pattern. Well, first, we had a really positive trip out to DC. Commissioners Anderson, Thomas, as well as Mike Shannon were out. We met with the entire delegation as well as a team at DOT and with the Office of Secretary and the Federal Highway Administration. Overall, very positive response for the most part. A little bit of a reality check once in a while when we were talking about BIP and project costs, particularly with Senator Cantwell's committee staff, but they're fully supportive of the project and our efforts to get a project agreement on the infra grant. But we've, the summit team has followed up with all the offices that committed to reach out to DOT. We've gotten responses back from most of them. Generally very similar non-committal responses from DOT that they're well aware of the project and like all the projects are going through the administrative review and compliance with the executive orders. But you know, we continue to keep that pressure on. We've been talking about how we want to follow up, you know, to have them reach out again to DOT and just kind of, you know, push for something a little more concrete. We'll say the DOT meeting, you know, we met with, as I said, folks from the Office of Secretary. They were more in listening mode. Federal Highways, again, a little more in listening mode, but they did give us a little bit of feedback and definitely said that, you know, right now we're doing all the right things. So this isn't about anything specific with our project. It's just everything's pretty much held up right now. You know, as kind of fate would have it, Secretary Duffy was testifying before the Environment and Public Works Committee the week after we were there. And Senator Merkley, who's on the committee, took his opportunity during questioning with his first question to ask about the status of this project and where things stand, and was very much on message during his question, you know, pushing on the $200 million infra grant, you know, ready to go, sitting on his desk. You know, the design teams would be moving forward had he executed it, and that, you know, any further delay in this was going to add to the cost of the project. The secretary, you know, mostly dodged the question, but said he would take a look at it. So, you know, we're going to continue to keep the drumbeat up, and hopefully, you know, we can raise the profile to the point where, you know, we're hopefully one of the first projects that they start to move forward on once they finalize their review of all the discretionary grant programs, notices of funding availability, and then all the project agreements that are pending. I will say the one thing they do highlight, both in the meeting we had as well as the secretary when he testified, is they have 3,200 projects that are waiting for project agreements. So, you know, they're still feeling that they're a little bit in over, or not, I was saying over the head. They've got a lot on their plate, and they're working through it.
Any new word on a BIP resubmittal?
No, we did ask the question, didn't get much in specific detail on that.
Thank you, Jim.
Mhm.
Okay, let's move to I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, Catherine.
Mr. Kolb, do you think I normally send follow-up thank yous for staff. Is that something that maybe I could do this, you know, over the next 2 weeks, say thank you for taking the time to meet with us and maybe remind just, you know, any help? I don't want to overstep what you guys are doing, but I think we had good rapport with everyone we met. So if we could just say a thank you email, maybe from the owner's kind of standpoint, just say thank you. And then any word on the infra?
No, I think that's good.
Nicely, obviously, very nicely, but.
No, I think that'd be great. I think that'd be a good
I'll-
opportunity to take, and we'd be happy to work with you on crafting that message to make sure we're, you know,
Yep.
our messages are kind of coordinated on what we're trying to ask them to do.
So would this be a joint email from like you and
Do that?
Sure.
Great.
yeah?
I'll craft and work with you and then. Okay.
And if they need a pen, I'd be happy to send them a brand new pen to sign stuff with. If they need it. Okay, thank you, Jim. Let's move on to government relations. Do we have anybody on board? Yeah. Don't see Dan.
Dan's up today. So that's why they did the individual.
Okay, let's move on to partner updates. Anybody from Federal Highways, ODOT, WashDOT would like to say anything?
I don't have any updates.
Yeah, Rob, go ahead, please.
Oh, I don't have any updates. I just thought I'd say hi.
Hi, nice to see you.
All right, let's keep moving on then. We have a consent agenda, a few invoices to approve. Is there anybody who wants to discuss any of the invoices in question? And if not, could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items as listed?
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Funding and finance report. Anything to report?
Nothing too major. I'll keep pretty brief. We've been the executive director analysis. We put on hold for a second because we were reprioritizing the analysis that we did for the meeting that we had last week. So we're
Yeah.
still working on that, and that's still in process.
Okay.
Everything else is just the usual sort of stuff. Financial reports are online, can be read. It's all within scope of what we've forecasted and expected. Nothing new or groundbreaking to report.
Engineering construction. Eric, we had the meeting before the workshop.
Yeah.
And as I remember, a lot of the discussion we had during that meeting was prepare for the workshop.
Yes.
Do you guys remember anything different that we
We
should?
also met our new marketing.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was the
Okay.
highlights, probably not the word, but it
And
was.
then we also did a demonstration. I'd like to say thank you publicly, James and Mike and Michael, for going to Westside Elementary School. We had a bunch of kids scream at the top of their lungs that they want to be engineers when they grow up. So I think it was very successful. You were in the news.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
Good. I see.
You know, some of us got to play in water and sand and cause earthquakes. That was kind of cool.
Liquefaction is now a known term for Westside Elementary School third graders. Thank you all.
Okay, communications, government relations. I guess Marla?
Hey guys, couple updates. One, some nice news from previous work that was done. The Public Relations Society of America, their Oregon Southwest Washington chapter, recognized the efforts of JLA and the authority with a Spotlight Award for our community relations regarding education awareness about the authority when we rolled out as a governing body. And then it sounds like MSH might have already introduced themselves to the Engineering and Construction Committee, but for everybody else in the good of the order, Noah Siegel's on today. So I'll tee it over to Noah in a second, but we, as the Communications Committee, had our kickoff meeting for the actual planning and execution of what we think we need to roll out as soon as possible on the communications side this spring with Noah and his team last Wednesday. Generally speaking, I would say that the efforts there are to jump right in and focus on the advocacy and support that we need to continue to beat, especially as it comes to the Oregon session, but also Washington. And we envision that looking like a combination of both public outreach through letters to the editor. We also want to do some targeted outreach to local business owners and local leaders in the area to help us with some opinion pieces, really speaking to the critical state of this bridge and the need for the funding now. So those are kind of the near-term focus. And I think at a later point, when we think we can breathe a little bit, we might reassess and evaluate some of other areas that we might want to shift our focus or revisit some of the assets we've built up to start telling news stories about the need for this project. Noah and his team are also going to jump in and revive the social media, which has kind of gone silent since JLA's departure. So Noah, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
Thank you, Commissioner. And it's really wonderful to be part of this project. So our team is two-person plus. It's me, Noah Siegel, and my partner, Roy Kaufman. I work on deep strategies, communications, and public relations with an expertise specifically in large infrastructure projects. I've worked on other bridges, light rail, various transportation projects in the past, as well as flood safety infrastructure. So I really love this kind of stuff, and I'm excited to be on it. Roy Kaufman focuses traditionally on media relations, crisis communication, and social media. So together, we're your communications and PR team going forward, really jumping in head first into all of the work. We realize we have a lot of catching up to do, but it's also very exciting, and there's a lot to build on going forward. Our primary focus, I think, is really to bring a sense of storytelling and human voices and identity to this project, and really make it compelling to everyone out there who needs to support it, and to give a voice to everybody who has a stake in it. So thank you very much, Commissioner.
Well, thank you to both of you. Welcome to the team. We got a lot to do in the next couple of years, so we welcome your help. Anything else, Marla?
Nope, we're good.
Okay. Let's move to informational items. Phase 1B update. Mike, if you keep it really short, part of this is going to be an executive session.
Yep, we're working through negotiations with Kiewit. Individual disciplines are meeting to refine the scope based on our first sets of meetings. We've got a second round scheduled for the 23rd of April. The March financial report was attached. There's a budget committee meeting scheduled for May the 12th. It's at that time of year. That budget committee is the overall authority budget that needs to be set every year. And then we are, based on the workshop that we had, I talked to Debbie and CDM Smith and PFM about doing a TIFIA presentation to go through some of the questions that came up on TIFIA. So we're looking at trying to do that on May the 12th at the board meeting. So they're prepping to do that presentation there. So. And then the last one, the financial service consultant, you've been going through that, I believe. So.
Yeah, so following the approval by Funding and Finance Committee to contract award with Moss Adams, so we had a successful negotiation last week, and we have sent the task order number 1 to them for them to sign and coming back. It was reviewed by Mark Greenoff. And then nothing changed from our master agreement as well as the task order agreement, task order itself. And we are expecting them to start their kickoff meeting next week. And then for the ICR calculation should be coming in mid-July if everything goes well.
Anything else? Looking at the upcoming action items, one that I don't see on there is we were going to have a follow-up item on committees. Do we have the right committees? Do we have the right makeup? Do we have the right decision-making process in the committees? I'm assuming that the authority still wants to have that discussion. Anybody not want to have that discussion? Okay, so I would, not seeing anybody that's saying that. Mike, can you figure out if it's not the next meeting, perhaps the following meeting, that we have a period of time in there?
You want to do that in one of your regularly scheduled meetings, or do you want to do that as a separate workshop?
I think it needs to be a workshop.
I agree.
Catherine?
Should we wait, sir, just asking to see who is your replacement and the next Oregon person that's going to come in so that we have a better idea of the skill sets that are current to the commissioners as opposed to.
Yeah, you're also going to have a Washington replacement as well.
Great. Did we want to wait? Is that beneficial to us to wait or?
I think that the conversation should be targeted around what existing skill sets are current on the authority. I think the more productive conversation is a focus on the foundational structure of the committees and how the authority operates. It should be blind to whatever professional strengths an incoming commissioner brings in. I think that almost biases us towards the conversation and where it could go.
Why don't, so I kind of hear we want to have a workshop on this. Mike, can you coordinate, figure out one, and let's make sure it happens no later than the end of May. Try and do it earlier than that. Okay. Any other upcoming actions you want to highlight, Mike?
We are, I guess one is we are starting to work on the 6F mitigations, which is the port properties. So we're having a meeting with HRWSBA right away to start moving that forward and looking at getting the appraisal done. So we know what that will look like. So just some of those. And then we also are reaching out to some of the local agencies where we were looking for or anticipating land donations. or land swaps, and trying to get some of those advanced to start working on those as well.
Okay, so there's no presentations today. General discussion, anybody have anything to say? Seeing none, we'll keep moving along. Confirmation of directives.
Sorry, it took me a second to get there. Mike.
Yeah, Seth, yep. Go ahead.
I just wanted to let the rest of the board know that I submitted a letter of resignation from the authority last week to the co-chairs and also to the Washington commissioners. It's been a pleasure serving on the board with all of you guys, but I will be moving in June out of the area and will no longer be able to participate as a commissioner. So I'm sad to go, but that was the Washington replacement that was alluded to a few minutes ago. And yeah, just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that happening. So thank you.
Yeah, Seth, as I said in the email, thank you so much for your service on the authority. And also we wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors and where you end up going. So thank you again.
Thanks, Mike.
If there's no other directives.
Just coordinating the workshop, and then Catherine's going to work on with Jim and others will help her on prepping a letter.
Yep. Okay. Okay, next meeting will be Monday, April the 28th. And what I would like to do is the Hood River White Salmon Bridge Authority will now meet in executive session pursuant to Oregon Law 192.660H, which talks about conferring with legal counsel regarding litigation. So with that in mind, I would like to excuse all non-authority members with the exception of Judy and anybody from your staff. The rest of you are excused, and we appreciate you being with us. So all members
just have
can stay.
One question on procedure legally. In Washington, you have to keep Zoom access open and accessible, and typically then you do breakout rooms. And so there would be a breakout room for Zoom participants that need to be in executive session, but the public could remain participating in a separate room, and then we reconvene because we're still in a public meeting. Is that the same in Oregon, or how are we handling?
In Oregon, you basically excuse people and you limit the access down on the Zoom. You typically at the end of an executive session, you come out of executive session, go back into normal meeting mode. People can rejoin if they would like. And then typically what I've seen happen, it's a very, very short meeting unless there's some decisions that need to be made. We do that in public meeting, and then we close the meeting out and go on.
Yeah, Mike, what I'd like to do is to make it clear whether we will or will not be taking any further actions or doing anything other than adjourning when we return to session. My understanding is that all we're going to be doing when we return to session is adjourning. Is that correct?
I believe that is where we're headed with this, Arthur.
We should tell people before those
tell
so
people
they know that.
Say again, I'm sorry.
There's nothing that's going to come out of.
No, I don't think so. And if it does, we will bring it up at the next meeting.
Okay, so if we're not planning to take action and we're not returning to session other than to adjourn, we should make that clear and let people go.
Yes, we can't, we also, I think there's Noah was online, and Noah can also remain during executive session.
Yeah, press can say they just can't take notes or report on executive session.
Okay, with that, if we could excuse everybody other than the authority folks and Noah and our legal staff.